Thank you for joining. We're excited to have you. And here we have Ashley Harlan, who is going to be walking us through how to build a business plan for your therapy practice. Feel free to drop in the chat where you're from. We love to connect with you guys through the chat. It's always nice to know who's joining. So feel free to introduce yourself. And thank you so much, Ashley, for running this webinar. We're really excited to have you and excited to learn from you. And go ahead and take it away.
Okay, I am so excited to be here today. I'm reading the chat to see where everybody's from. It's coming in fast. All right, there's a lot of people here. Hello, hello, hello. So thank you, Brittany, for the introduction. Thank you, Michael, for inviting me to talk to you guys today. And shout out to Herd. I'm so excited to have the amazing opportunity to come and speak about how you build a business plan for your therapy practice. And today, to take it a step further, we're going to discuss the 3 drivers that you need to implement your business plan. So before we get started, I know you all are dropping in the chat where you are from, but I also want to know a couple of things. One, because a lot of you registered for this, so I'm very interested to hear why you feel like having a business plan is important to you. And then also, I want to know what positive changes do you think you will experience by having a successful business plan? So why do you think a business plan is important? And then what do you think you're going to gain? Like what positive changes do you feel like you're going to gain from having a business plan? Okay, funding, expansion, roadmap to success. That's a good one. Wealth. Yes, we all want wealth. Okay. Banks need to see it for funding. Yeah. Better execution. Good, good. Okay. These are some really, really good ones. Okay. That gives me an idea of who's in the room and who is on the chat today. So in my role as a profitable practice advisor, a CFO, business owners, you all hire me a lot to help you to create this plan. Like at the core of what I do, I help business owners put something like this in place. We're trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B. So for example, I have a client, her name is Dr. B. Dr. B is up in the DMV area. She runs a group virtual practice. And when she came to me, one of her goals was to go from about 4 to 5 clinicians to about 11 to 12 clinicians. She also works full-time. So she works full-time. She's running a very successful group practice as well. So she wanted to figure out, okay, how can we make sure that the business, if I go full-time in the business and drop my 9 to 5, how can the business still continue to support my income? So we realized we needed to be able to increase her revenue by about 40%. So she could quit her full-time job and go full-time in the business. So when we think about that type of plan, right, we know where she is, we know where she wants to be. And my job is to help my clients and to help you to figure out how to close that gap. But here's the thing, when she first came on board and we were talking about it, it was all about the plan. What kind of plan do we need to put in place? How do I get this done? And so she thought that the plan was the most important component, but it's not. Now, the plan is important, don't get me wrong. You need to have a plan. But what is important is what really drives that plan. What drives that plan is the thing that you're connected to. It is connected to what you really want. And what I've found to be true over my years of working in this industry is that if you're not clear on your drivers, it's going to be much more difficult for you to navigate the very highs and the very low lows that I know everyone on this presentation has encountered when it comes to running a business. And I've found that if we can get clear about what drives our plan, we will prevent ourselves from burning out. You may not want to quit your business because the clients who I have that aren't clear on this, they do. They want to burn it all down. They want to quit their business. They are disconnected from the business, so they might as well quit because it makes it very difficult to get information and to push the plan forward. So I don't want this to be y'all's story today. But before we dive in, there's a couple of things I want to address. I want to set expectations on the front end. So some of you may be thinking some of these things. You may have had thoughts around, this is a one-time document. I can't predict the future. Like, let's just kind of keep it real on here. Putting together a business plan isn't the most fun thing to think about. But what I want you to do is to recognize how important this plan can be to help you to navigate your business today and in the future. So you may be thinking, I already have a clear vision for my practice, or you may feel like, I have no clue what the future is going to hold. I don't know what's happening next week. I don't know what's happening tomorrow. And some of you all, and I feel like I need to say this as we go into this conversation, some of you all may be using the language like, Ashley, this just really doesn't apply to me. Maybe because, I'm running a small business. And what I want to tell you, if this is your thought, if you've ever had this thought at all, like drop a 1 in the chat if you've had the thought of like, I just have kind of like a small business and I may not need to do all of these things because it's just a small business. Let me see. Yeah. I got beef with y'all, okay? I'm going to be myself on this presentation. I got beef with y'all. If you don't know what that means I have an issue with you saying this, because I am going to tell you, you are not running a small business, especially in the industry that you are in, okay? So we're not going to say that anymore. And I want you to hear me and hear me very clearly when I say this to you, okay? The work that you all do is therapists, impacts generations, okay? So like really sit in that. The work that you all do, it impacts generations. And if you ask me how I know because I am a proud client of therapy. I have been with my therapist for 8 years. She's probably tired of me. And she's like, okay, Ashley, when we gonna end this? But we're not. We're stuck together like this. But what I can tell you to be true is that I know firsthand the impact of the work that you do. And so I want you to walk away with knowing that putting a business plan in place helps you to be able to serve in the way that you want to serve and be served as well. Because I know y'all serve a lot of people and your business can serve you. So I want you to think about your business plan as your North Star, and it's there to help guide you to live the life that you all desire, okay? Just had to clear that up before we get into it. So, hey, y'all, I'm Ashley. I have been in your shoes. I have had my doubts about running a successful business. The first time I tried to do this, I failed miserably. Like I fell flat on my face when I tried to run my business the first time. And I was very hesitant to try to do it again because I accumulated a lot of debt. I was broke. I had to move back home. And I had a lot of shame and embarrassment around failing the first time, because I have spent my career learning how to manage money. And I didn't do it well the first time for myself as a business owner. But what I realized quickly is that managing finances is a 9-to-5er and managing business as a business owner. Those are like two different things. That's a different conversation for a different day, but they're not the same. And learning how to manage your business finances is a skill that you develop over time. You can expedite your learning, but it's a skill that you have to develop because it's very different than managing your personal finances. But here's where my life changed. In 2017, I had a brain bleed that stemmed from what's called an AVM. So I had to go to 2 hospitals, y'all. I had 1 brain surgery. I had 7 days in the ICU, and I had a 6-month recovery. I literally drove to work that morning. It was the day of the eclipse. I don't know if you all remember that back in 2017. I drove to work that morning. I was perfectly fine. That night, I was fighting for my life. And I had a 6-month recovery. And that event changed the trajectory of my life. And so I realized after going through that there's more to life than sitting in somebody's cube consulting financial advisors, which is what I was doing at that time. but I felt stuck. I felt like, I don't know, am I equipped to be able to do this? Can I go out on my own? And the person who helped me to navigate my new normal is my therapist. She was the one that helped me to be able to lean into my new life and shift my perspective. And that's the reason why I am so passionate about helping you all figure out how to run your businesses, because we need you, and we need you to have profitable businesses, and we need you to have businesses that serve you as well, so you don't burn out and you quit and you walk away from the thing that you're called to do. So I took the entrepreneurial leap at that time after getting laid off. I transformed my side business into a full-time business. And at this stage of the game, over the last 3 years, I've been able to successfully help 18 different businesses achieve growth by using this values-based, actionable business plan framework that I'm going to discuss with you all today. Okay. All right, so I want to discuss the 2 types of practice owners this presentation will be the most impactful for. So who is this for? Okay, so I'm gonna let y'all read the slide for a few minutes. And as you read the slide, based off of if the lifestyle practice resonates with you or the scalable practice resonates with you, I want you to drop in the chat and let me know. So is lifestyle for you? Drop lifestyle. Is scalable is for you? Drop scalable. I'm gonna grab a sip of water while y'all are putting that in there. Lifestyle for sure. Okay, a lot of lifestyles. Okay, and some want a mixture of both. Okay, so here's why this is important. And I really want you to take note of this, because the option you choose, the category you choose, is going to impact how you need to think about creating and implementing your business plan. One of my favorite coaches told us that she didn't want us to just do what she told us to do. She didn't want to just tell us, like, these are the things you need to be doing. She wanted us to really understand how to think about the things that we were doing. So as we continue to go through this information today, I want you to use this as a guide for like the lens that you're going to be taking this information in, because you're going to be filtering what I'm talking to you today about through that lens. So over the next 30 minutes or so, my goal for this presentation is to really teach you how to strategically think and implement your business plan. So there's an article that I also wrote for her on this topic that outlines the different things you need to put into your business plan. But like I said in the beginning, that's not enough. The plan isn't enough. You need to actually implement. And the plan is no good if you're not connected to it. So we're going to talk about some drivers of business plan implementation today, so you can successfully not only create a business plan, but create one that you desire to implement and that you feel connected to. So the 3 drivers we're going to cover, we're going to talk about embracing your business roles. We're going to talk about defining your values-aligned personal and business goals. And then we're going to talk about how you can utilize financial data as a decision-making tool. Okay, so take out your pen and paper or your iPad, your notes, because I'm going to walk you through the different business roles that you have and how you should think about embracing them. And a couple of questions that came to mind as I was thinking about this is that I want you to think about, what kind of CEO do you want to be? What role do you want to play in the business, and what role don't you want to play in the business? So be clear, like in the beginning, all of us on here who are running a business, we know in the beginning, you're going to be wearing a lot of hats. It's going to be a little overwhelming. There's going to be a lot that you got to make decisions on, but eventually what will happen is the business will grow, and you're going to become a lot more clear about where you want to spend your time, what you want to be doing, how you want to operate the business. So thinking about what we're going to talk about now is critical for you to implement and integrate this thinking and these questions and these answers into your plan, so it can help you to make more strategic decisions in the future. So we're going to cover 3 different things in this embracing your business role section of our talk today. We're going to talk about defining, we're going to talk about your owner's intent first. We're going to talk about defining your roles, and then we're going to talk about balancing those roles. So if you don't take anything else from what we're talking about today, if you walk away and you say, the only thing I remember about this presentation is this thing, this is the thing that I want you to remember. It's your owner's intent. So let's define owner's intent. It is the foundational vision and purpose that you have for your practice. It's about defining why you are in business, what you want to achieve, and what success looks like for you personally and professionally, okay? There's 3 reasons why owner's intent is so important. It gives you clarity of purpose. It's going to give you the information that you need to look at what is a clear direction. What does success look like for me? It's going to ensure that you're making decisions that are in line with your values and with your goals. It's going to help you stay motivated because, as you know, running a business, that motivation can drop. When things are coming left and right, clients are canceling, you got to think about increasing prices, insurance isn't paying out. Do I hire? Who's my first hire? When all of those things are happening, motivation can drop. So coming back to your owner's intent helps you to stay connected to why you're doing this in the first place. And the last thing is alignment. You want to make sure that the strategies and the actions that you're taking in your business align with your personal and professional aspirations. So you actually build a business and a practice that you like and that you enjoy running. So owner's intent is kind of like that one thing that I want you to remember to come back to. And I really want you to sit with what your owner's intent is. A lot of you all said lifestyle. So maybe your owner's intent is about just enhancing the lifestyle of your family, making that better, making sure that you can sleep at night and you have peace, or buying that home that you've always wanted to buy, or only working 3 days a week. Whatever your intent of the business is, you want to make sure that you know what it is. So when things start hitting you left and right and you feel like you've taken a 4x4 to the face as a business owner, you can come back to your intent. So now let's talk about your business roles. You wear a lot of hats, like I said, but I think there's 3 primary roles that you play: the owner, the CEO, and the clinician. So as the owner, you are the visionary. You are responsible for setting the strategy and the direction of the business. And also as the owner, and this is important, also as the owner, you have to keep in mind that this business, this practice is an asset on your personal balance sheet. That means that the more financially healthy your business is, the more valuable it's going to be for you personally. So you have to make sure that you keep that owner hat on, because this is an asset, just like your cash, just like your investments, just like your retirement, just like your home. This business is an asset for you personally. So you want to make sure that you keep that owner's hat on and you tap into that role every now and again. Now, the CEO, you're responsible for the day-to-day operations of the business. Your role here is to make decisions that will increase the profitability and the equity of the business. We're going to talk about profitability and equity a little bit later, so we can dive into that then, but that's kind of the role, is the CEO. And lastly, y'all know this role a lot better than I do, is the clinician, right? As the clinician, you get to lean into your expertise. You are the heart of the practice, and your skills and your expertise are going to drive clients to the practice, keep them in the practice, and that in turn helps to create revenue that you need in the business to make sure that it maintains its financial health. So you got to be clear of the different roles that you play in the business. And in a few minutes, we're going to talk about how do you balance those roles. So to this point, we talked about owner's intent. We talked about defining the different roles that you're going to play, but let's talk about balancing your roles. Now, This is a great slide. I'm a note taker, so y'all probably going to hear me say that again. So for those of you who are like me and you love taking notes, this is the perfect slide for you to write down information. The perfect slide. So a mentor of mine shared this concept with me, and it has been a game changer for my business. And I think it would be really helpful for you too. So it helps us to think about where we want to spend our time in the business. So you have immersed. This is something that you want to do about 70% of the time. This is the area where you want to be in it. You love it. You enjoy doing it. You get the most, fulfillment out of doing this type of work. Immerse is where you ultimately probably want to spend the majority of your time. You may not be doing that thing now, but this is where you want to go. Business planning, remember, is like, where am I trying to get to? So where do you want to be immersed? It may not be in that CEO, owner, or clinician role. It may be marketing. It may be business development. It may be training. But thinking about in your business now, where do you want to be immersed? Now let's think about, where do you want to lead? You may be heavily involved in this area, but you're not spending all of your time. You may be managing it. You still may be the visionary for that area. You're leading it, but you're not totally in it. And then the next one is, where do you want to be sprinkled? This is stuff you don't really want to do, right? These are the things that if you could outsource it, or if you didn't have to do it, you don't want to do it. And you need to be clear on those things. Like, where do your skills lie? What are you knowledgeable about? What do you enjoy doing? So evaluating where you are now with the task and the roles that you play, and thinking about in the future, where do I want to be? So when my mentor shared this with me, that's what we did. We tracked our time. Well, we tracked my time, and we reviewed that. And then we looked at different tasks that I was responsible for. And then we used a scale of 1 to 10 to determine, if I enjoyed it, was I knowledgeable? Did I have the skill set for it? Was I terrible at it? And I absolutely needed to give it up. And then I kind of was able to rank where I needed to spend my time. So for an example for you guys, I'm going to use myself. I realized I didn't want to run a traditional CFO firm. Like, I didn't want to have a bunch of bookkeepers or a lot of accountants. I didn't want to have to hire a lot of other CFOs to serve clients, because although I enjoy that work, I love doing what I'm doing right now. Like, I love teaching. I love coaching. I love training. I love advising. And my owner's intent, I realized, like, my goal is to reach as many mental health and wellness professionals as I can, and equip you all with the confidence and the competence to be able to manage your finances. I can't do that if I have a full roster of one-on-one clients that I'm in the nitty-gritty details of their business. So I had to switch it up, because I realized, like, okay, maybe I'm leading in that area, but I really want to be immersed in this type of work. So those are the things that you can think about and how you want to plan, because now the decisions that I'm making about the growth of my business, who I need to hire, what type of services do I need to provide, that has shifted because I'm more clear about where I want to be immersed, where I want to be leading, and where I want to be sprinkled. Does that make sense? Drop a 1 in the, I think I've already said 1. So let's drop a 2 in the chat if this is making sense. Okay. All right. Y'all are rocking with me. Cool. All right. So let's go to driver number 2. So this is all about defining your values, align personal and business goals. So I'll put this here. Don't skip this step. 2 Chainz. Michael, I love it. So don't skip this step of defining, sitting down, because I know we can think about our goals in our head, but I really want you to sit down and define your personal and your business goals, especially on the personal side, because I believe the personal goals drive everything. And this is the area where you get to dream. You get to dream. You get to take the limits off and really think about how you want to live your life. So I mentioned earlier working a 9 to 5 and how, managing money in that capacity is so different than as a business owner. And we often discuss how hard it is to manage inconsistent income. And it is. It's very difficult to do. But the beauty of owning a business is that you have unlimited income potential. There are no salary negotiation conversations you got to rehearse in your head. There's no promotions that you have to hope and pray that you're going to get. You get to be in total control of your income. So as you think about your personal goals, especially, I want you to set goals based off of what you really want, like what you truly desire, and not what you settled for in the past because someone else had these constraints on you. So let's talk about personal goals. I love talking about them. I think it's the planner in me. But I feel like your goals are so important. And I run this accelerator called the Profitable Practice Accelerator. And we spend 2 weeks talking about this. That's how important I think it is, because I think it is the thing that drives all of us most of the time to start a business in the first place. We're trying to achieve something personally. And the business is the vehicle that we use to get there. So here's some questions around 4 different categories that I want you to think about and consider when it comes to your personal goals. So income, how much do you want to bring in? How much debt would you like to pay down? If you're considering your lifestyle, how many hours do you want to work? What days of the week do you want to work? Do you want to have location freedom? All of those things are really important. I have a client, her name is Erica. I tell Erica all the time, I use her as an example because I think how we've put together her business is so powerful, because she got really clear on her owner's intent. And so our planning for her, our business planning for her is pretty simple. Erica does about 500K in revenue each year, and she could do more, but she is a lifestyle business person. She's optimizing her business mostly at this stage for time. And her main priority is to pay for her kids' private school tuition each year. Like, as long as she can pay the $120 for their private school tuition, which is not cheap, it's pretty steep, but that's what's important to her. Nothing else really matters. It's like, that's her one key performance indicator. Can we pull out 120K from the business so she can pay her kids' tuition? So when I say owner's intent, and I'm thinking about how we put these things in place so we can implement a plan we care about, is getting clear on that, so we know we can back into the finances and to the numbers to figure out what she needs to do to pull that 120. But knowing that that's what she cares about is the key thing. And then when we think about community, I have another client who, before she sold off her largest revenue stream, so she was on that scalable side, she wanted to sell the business. And so before she did that, one of the things that we worked on together was putting a plan in place so she could give 50K each quarter to a nonprofit that she was interested in. She had a passion for that nonprofit. So one of the things that we were solving for in her business plan was to make sure that she could pull out $50,000 each quarter to be able to give to that nonprofit. So the answers to your personal questions really drive your business plan, and they also drive the type of finances you're going to need in your business to bring in money to fund your personal goals. So like I said, don't skip this step. Take some time to spend with it and walk through it. All right, moving on to our business goals. I feel like in some ways we oversimplify our business goals, and I think it impacts our profitability. So I came up with this framework for you all to kind of think about your business goals in a different way. So I've broken them into 3 different categories. We've got your core business functions, your CEO development, and systemization. So when we think about your core business functions, there's 6 key areas that you need to think about. So operations, we need to create goals around operational efficiency, people management. These are goals you need to consider when it comes to hiring and when it comes to training people. Finances, goals around the resources that you're going to need and the financial management that you're going to need. And then we're thinking about marketing. What goals do you need for marketing? How are you going to promote your services? How are you going to promote how people can work with you? So you need goals around that and establishing your brand in the marketplace. Sales, how are we going to drive revenue? right? It depends upon your business model. If you are one-to-one working with clients, if you do group therapy, if you do intensives, maybe you want to lean more into coaching, or you want to lean into consulting, or you want to have a wellness center. Whatever that is, we got to figure out how to drive sales to your revenue streams, because that turns into cash for you in the business. And then lastly, we have legal. I think legal gets kind of overlooked sometimes because it's more of a compliance type of deal. But depending upon your business, again, your contracts may need to be tight. You know, when I think about legal, I even think about the things you put in place for cancellations. If people cancel late, do you actually charge them the fee that you're supposed to charge them because they're late, right? All of those things are like goals that we can make sure that, in metrics, we can make sure that we're hitting, or that we can bake into the business plan. Now let's think about CEO development. To thrive as leaders, you need to create goals to improve your skills. You need to create goals to improve your knowledge, to improve your management capabilities, and to be able to figure out how do you need to lead through delegation. You all are therapists that are on this call, the majority. That is your area of expertise. And you're more than likely trying to figure out some of the CEO role, owner role, marketing, sales, right? So you may need to spend some time getting more knowledgeable and increasing your skills around that. Management capabilities. Finances is one of the biggest ones. Finances drive everything else that you do in your business, yet it is one of those things that people feel like, oh, I just don't, I'm not a numbers person, and I'm not good at this. But as a business owner, I can't take that excuse. There are resources out there for you to increase your knowledge around how to better be able to manage business finances. Love to talk to you about it at a later time if you're interested in learning, but you have a responsibility as a CEO to develop yourself so you can run and maintain a successful and financially healthy business. And the last thing is systemization, okay? Yeah, community colleges often have free business centers as well. I looked over at the chat and I saw that. So if y'all have resources for this as well, feel free to drop those into the chat for everyone. So systemization, I think this one isn't talked about as much, but we can create goals around using systems and technology to standardize our processes to become more efficient. We can use AI, we can use tech, Calendly, Simple Practice. All of that is tech. All of those things help you to systematize your business. And so finding ways to do that and having goals around what type of software you may need to invest in to make things easier for the business are things that we need to think about. So I wanted to go over business goals in this framework because my clients are always asking me, how do I invest my money? If I'm profitable, where do we need to be spending time? Where do we need to be spending money? And using this framework helps us to be able to more clearly see where we may be weak, where there may be some opportunities for us to get a little more strong in those functions or in development or in our systems. And so we know how to disperse that revenue that's coming into the door to make the business a lot stronger than it may be at that current state. All right. Y'all still tracking along with me? I think are we on 3? Number 3, number 4? We're on 3. Okay, thank y'all for 3. We're on 3. We're on the home stretch. So we talked about embracing your business roles. We talked about defining values, align personal and business goals, and we're going to wrap up talking about financial data. And I think I'm doing okay on time. Okay. It's my favorite thing. Talk about the finances. So you are on this webinar because of Herd, or you learned about this webinar from social media. I know it was out there, and a lot of you all registered, which is amazing. I'm so happy you all wanted to learn more about this and that you desire some additional information on here. So when we think about our business plan, We need data to help drive our decision making. So you get your financial reports. You may be a client of Herd, hopefully, or you may have a bookkeeper that puts this information together. And I know, because I've worked with a lot of clients, a lot of them, I'll speak for my clients, a lot of them, the finances are just not their favorite part, right? They do it. They have the bookkeeping because they're supposed to have the bookkeeping. Somebody told them they need to get their numbers together. Maybe you value the information, because I do have a couple of clients who really love to dig into the numbers. And then some people, you're just scared of the IRS. You want to make sure you got your stuff in order and you're not going to get in trouble. But whatever your reason why you are doing something with your finances, I need you to understand how valuable and essential your financial reports are. One of the things I spend a lot of my time doing, with my clients, whether I am in an advisory relationship with them or they're going through my accelerator, is show them how to use their financial reports to make decisions about the business. I don't want you to just get your reports from Herd or from QuickBooks or Xero or wherever you're getting them from. I don't want you to just get them just to be getting them, to say you got them, or to just use them at tax time. I want you to be able to get them and look at the different reports and make decisions based off of them, because that's what they're there for. So we're going to talk about how to leverage your financial data to make decisions. They are a crucial tool that help you to tap in to how to figure out where to spend time in your business. So they answer a lot of questions around, well, what do I need to be doing in my sales? Finances will tell you. How's my marketing? Your finances will tell you. Can I hire? Your finances will tell you, right? So a lot of times we're seeking outwardly where you need to be spending time. And if you knew how to read your reports and you knew what information they're supposed to be telling you, then you would be able to tap into your financials to help you to answer some of these questions. So what I'm going to do is go through each of the 3 reports and give you some questions that you can ask yourself when it comes to them. Okay, so profit and loss statement. For my note takers again out there, I want you to write some of these questions down. I have questions for all 3 reports. And I know that most of you all are very familiar with the P&L. That tends to be everyone's favorite because it tells you your sales and it tells you your expenses and it tells you how profitable you are. But here's how I use this with my clients. I like the profit and loss statement because it helps me to see trends and it helps me to set benchmarks for the business. So I use it to look at the trends. I use it to set benchmarks. Benchmarks just help us to see, okay, where do we need to be? And are we hitting that benchmark? Are we surpassing that benchmark? Depending upon the capacity of someone working with me, if they're an actual CFO client, we dive a little bit deeper and I look at the industry. So I'm looking at the mental health industry. I can narrow it down to your region. I can go down to state and see how people who have similar businesses to you are operating, and we can use that for benchmarks, and we use the P&L to be able to kind of see where we need to be spending our time. Other questions that we ask is around our profitability during that specific period. This helps us to gauge how well you are generating revenue, how well are you managing your expenses, and are you increasing your profit at the end of the period or not? I'm also asking questions around what are our total revenues and are they increasing or decreasing? This is really important for therapy businesses because what I've heard, which is not always true, is that, business tends to dip in the summer. Now, sometimes it's true, right? People are on vacation. Folks aren't as, wanting to see their therapist. They're trying to turn up and have a good time out in the streets, right? But then we kind of get into this September, October, school's back in, seasonal things start to happen and you may see an uptick, right? that could be the case, but the data will tell us if that's true or not. And one of my clients, we found that she did have a slight dip, but she didn't dip as much as she thought she did in the summertime. So understanding this, if it is true for you that you have a dip, it allows you to pre-plan, plan ahead to make sure we have enough cash stored up in our reserves to be able to withstand those dips or those ebbs and flows that you may have in your business. And the last thing we're looking at in this illustration is our expenses. We're looking to see, are we actually optimizing our expenses? Are we getting a return on these expenses that we're paying out? And we can identify if we need to be spending more money somewhere or if we need to cut back. So these are a few questions that I would have you to ask yourself when it comes to evaluating your P&L. Okay, the balance sheet. The balance sheet shows you how financially healthy your business is. So when we're looking at making decisions here, as the CFO, I'm looking at your practices, assets, and your liabilities. Because this tells me, what does the practice own versus what does the practice owe? And then I'm going down to that second point, because what you own versus what you owe is how much equity that the business holds. And the equity tells me how valuable is the business. And are we increasing the value over time, or are we decreasing the value over time? So I think about the balance sheet in equity the same way that I would think about when you own a home. It's the easiest illustration for you to kind of have in your head. When you own a home, your goal is to increase the equity. You want your home to grow in value. You don't want it to decrease in value. So that's the same thing as the business. You want to think about your equity. You want to increase the value of it. And for those of you who said you want a scalable business, this is even more important to you, because when an investor or a buyer is looking at your financials, they're trying to see how much equity you have in the business. And they're probably going to use some of those factors that they can get from the balance sheet to determine how much you can sell your practice for. So equity is important. It's even more important if you are looking to scale. And then we want to think about, how are we managing debt? Can we get capital if we need it? Are we over leveraged with debt? Again, for those of you who are looking to scale, get multiple locations, right? You need to be credit worthy, and they're going to be looking at your balance sheet to see if you can actually take on that debt and you're going to pay the bank back. So you want to make sure that you understand how those things work on your balance sheet. And then the last one, I think this one gets a bad report. I don't know why people don't really know much about the statement of cash flow. Some of y'all may have never heard about it before. Let me know in the chat, like, have you ever heard of the statement of cash flows before? I'm just curious. No, nope. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. When it comes to tax time, have you ever sat down with your accountant or sit down in your conversations with her, and you're looking, and on your P&L, there's this profit number, and you're trying to figure out, okay, this is the number, the profit, but like there's no cash. The profit and the cash in the bank, they're not adding up to each other. Has that been the case for anybody? You trying to figure out, like, how am I profitable, but I don't have that cash in the bank? Yes, yep. It's because the P&L doesn't tell you about cash. The P&L just tells you about profitability. But there's this like other statement that rolls into, like, your profit comes off of the P&L and it comes onto the statement of cash flows, and then you start deducting stuff. And that's how you get to the cash that you have in the bank. But we don't talk about it. So the statement of cash flows really tells you how cash, not profit, not revenue, how cash is flowing in and out of your business. So I spend a lot of time, I don't know if you can tell, I'm very excited about this. I spend a lot of time talking about cash with my clients, because it's one of the biggest drivers of if you're going to stay in business or not. So it's a big part of my conversations with clients on an advisory one-on-one basis. And we cover this in detail in my Profitable Practice Accelerator, because I need you to understand where your cash is going. So here are some questions that I typically ask around the statement of cash flows. Are we bringing in enough cash to support the business? Because your cash may not just come from revenues. You as the business owner may be putting money into the business to cover, that bill. You may get a loan. The loan does not go on the P&L. The loan goes onto the statement of cash flows because you're putting cash into the business. If you get a grant that's putting cash into the business, none of those things show up on the P&L. They're all on the profit and loss statement. So you need to be able to understand how cash is flowing into the business and how cash is flowing out of the business. It also addresses one of the number one questions is like, can I pay myself? And if I pay myself, can I give myself a raise? Statement of cash flows is going to give you that information. It's going to show you, depending upon your business entity, let me make that caveat, depending upon your business entity, it's going to show you how much you're pulling out of the business for yourself. And it's going to help you to be able to determine your compensation and what the impact of your compensation has on your business. And then lastly, it's going to show you, are you increasing or decreasing cash at the end of the period in your bank account? That's another trend that I'm looking at when I'm looking at the statement of cash flows. Are we consistently increasing or decreasing cash in the bank account? So we've all heard some form of this statistic, 45% of businesses close their doors within the first 5 years. But here's the thing they don't tell you. Businesses don't go out of business because they're not profitable. You can be profitable and go out of business. They go out of business because you run out of cash. So being profitable is good. Being cash rich is great. Okay. So this report answers those critical questions around cash. Okay. So let's recap as we wrap up. I know I got about 10 more minutes. So as we recap, let's go over what we discussed. We talked about embracing your business roles. We talked about your personal and your business goals. And then we talked about how you can utilize financial data to help you make better decisions. So I want to kind of leave off with a couple of things. I want you to remember that the business plan is going to change. Some of your drivers will change, but typically at the core of what you do, which is that owner's intent, which is why I said, if you don't walk away with nothing else, spend time on that. That's going to remain the same. So be willing to pivot, to change, to transform your plan and your drivers over time. And I recommend that you review this quarterly, because all of us, are in growth mode in the first 5 years or so. So what we're doing today is not going to be what we're doing tomorrow. You need to consistently be looking at your business plan and tweaking it so it can match where you are in that current state. Okay. All right. So before you guys hop off, I want to give you all an opportunity. I know that we had a short amount of time, 45 minutes. It was very much centered around generalities when it comes to putting a business plan in place and implementing the business plan. So I wanted to give you all an opportunity for me to get my eyes on your business plan and answer any questions you may have, because I know the amount of people we have, I couldn't answer a lot of questions. So I'm going to give y'all a free call. Now like I said, there's a lot of registrants, so there's not, as many spots as it is people on here. So I would suggest that you go and book quickly because I want to talk to as many of you all as I can. So book the 20-minute call with me so I can get my eyes on your business and answer questions about your business plan. Or, if you got a couple of other questions on things, I'm happy to answer those too. And then they're going to send out a free template that I created. So if you read the Herd article and you're on here, I kind of put a template together that combines those two. So you're not having to guess about where to get this information. So you want to book the call, you just scan the QR code that's on your screen right now, and it should take you to the link to book a call. But I'll also make sure that I get Brittany the link as well, so she can send that out with the template information and the replay. So thank y'all. That's, I appreciate your engagement. I appreciate, you all taking the time to be here today. Hopefully it was helpful.
That was amazing, Ashley. Thank you so much for joining us. I know everyone saw a bunch of value in that. And yeah, would just encourage everyone to book a call with Ashley. She's an expert.
Yes. Book a call with me. Talk to me. I know it was a lot of information. I think I saw a couple of people ask if they could get the slides. So Brittany, if it's up to y'all. But
yeah, we will be sending out a recording and any other information, so you can make sure to stay connected with Ashley and rewatch this presentation as many times as you need, because it was really valuable. So just again, really appreciate it. And with that, we can let everyone go. Thank you again, Ashley.
thank y'all.
Have a good rest of your day.